Hey, it's Patti Scharf, CPA and co-founder of Catching Clouds, the leader in e-commerce accounting. I am continuing my series on solutions for e-commerce sellers, and today I want to talk about security. Because you can't talk about online commerce without talking about security. Make sure you stick around to the end because I'm going to talk about specifically LastPass, which is a password vault, and I'm going to tell you why you need that and kind of what it does and stuff like that. So let's get started. All right, so everything in the world is moving towards the cloud. So everything is accessible with a browser, whether you're on your phone or you're on your computer or whatever. And because everything is accessible through the internet, the biggest issue that you need to be paying attention to is password security. Basically, if somebody has your password, they can get in, whether they're hacking or whatever. If they can get in, they can get to your world. So we want to prevent that, right? All right, so one of the first things I want to talk about is setting up sublogins. So if you are using a bank, like let's use Chase for example. Chase will allow you to create another user account underneath your main account that you can limit access. So like when we're working with clients, we want to get a sublogin as often as possible because we don't want access to the main meat of the account. We just want to see like what happened in their accounting transactions and things like that. So we will ask for a sublogin with limited permissions that does not allow us to transact on anybody's account. We highly recommend that if you are working with another accountant or you're working with anybody who needs access to your account for some reason or another, you make sure to limit their permissions and set up their own login. And the other thing that I really like about this is that you know how sometimes like you mess up typing your password or something like that and it locks you out after 3 attempts? If you have a sublogin, like that person can deal with all the administrative headache of that themselves without locking you out of your admin password, which is a much bigger headache. So sublogins, totally the way to go. The next thing I want to talk about is two-factor authentication. Now, that is a scary sounding technical term, but here's what it is. So when you're logging into anywhere, you usually need your username and password. What two-factor authentication is it makes you do a third thing, and that is enter some kind of a code. So you may have your phone set up, so it'll text you a code so that not only does whoever's accessing your account need to know your username and password, they also have to literally have your phone so that they can see what was texted, and they have just like maybe a minute to type that in before they can get in. There are also other things like there's a tool called Google Authenticator, and you put it on your phone. It's an app for your phone, and you can add all your different sites. Like I've got Xero and Slack and Gusto and LastPass and all these different ones on Google Authenticator. And then when I log into something, I just pull up my Google Authenticator app and it has a code that changes every minute. So I have like a minute to enter in my code, or maybe if it's even 30 seconds, I don't really know. But I have a certain period of time, a short period of time where I can enter in my code. And again, I need to have access to that Google Authenticator app before I can log in. So it's an extra level of security that's really smart to have on all of your systems. So take a look at some of the tools you're using, and if it allows for setting up two-factor authentication, by all means, you should do that. All right, so let's talk about passwords themselves. They should be long, they should be unique, they should be complex. So they should have like special characters in there, they should have numbers and letters and things like that. I've read different reports where some people say, oh, it's like easier to get into if it's all jumbled versus if you have like a couple of words that don't mean anything together, separated by a number or something like that. I don't know, but I would recommend that whichever you do, whatever combination you have, you make your passwords as long as possible, like 32 characters and up. You want it to be really long. You also don't want to have the same exact password on every single thing that you log in. A lot of people do that because it's easier to remember. If you just have one password that lets you into all these different things, then it's easier to remember, but the problem is it's also easier to get into all of your stuff. Not only can they get into this site, but they can get into all of them. So you want to make it as hard as possible to get into your stuff. All right, so this is where the password vault comes into play. It's basically what it sounds like. It is one piece of software that holds on to all of your different passwords for all of the different sites that you log into. It keeps it nice and safe and secure, but it's easy because you just need to know your own password to log into it to get access to all these different things, okay? So I have it as Chrome extension on my system. So whenever I go to a site that is kept in that vault, LastPass will automatically recognize what the site is and go, oh, which of these passwords would you like to use? I see you're on the Chase site, and I pick the one I need, and it automatically populates the username and ID. So even though I have these really long, complex passwords, I don't have to remember them because LastPass remembers it for me. So it will automatically fill those in. I can log in without a problem. There's an app for my phone, so if I'm accessing stuff on my phone, I can use it there also. Also, when I'm signing up for a new site and I want to create a new complex password, I can just go generate password and it will automatically come up with one and fill it in for me. And then it'll say, hey, do you want me to save this password to your vault? And I say, yes, please. And then it saves it and away we go. So here's the other thing that you can do with LastPass is we can create groups basically within LastPass where different people share the same passwords. So if I'm sharing a password with the accountant on the Catching Clouds account, then she has access to my passwords, I have access to my passwords, Scott has access to the passwords, but nobody else does. So we can share them securely and they're encrypted and everything else, and it's really handy. If we're sharing passwords with clients, we can do the same thing, or we can actually literally just send it through LastPass and they accept it on their side. So we don't like have one folder that we all have access to, but you can just like send it to somebody else and it gets sent encrypted and it unencrypts it on their side and everything else. So it's pretty sweet. The other thing LastPass will do is it provides security checks. So you can run a security check on the system and it'll go, you know what, this password, not so secure. Maybe you want to fix that. So it's got some really great tools and stuff embedded in it. So I think it's a really great bang for the buck. It's only like, I think it goes from $2 to $4 per month per person who's using it, which is not a huge investment in your security, and you know, it makes my life so much easier. If you're using LastPass or using a different password vault, leave a comment down below. Tell me which one you're using. Tell me if you like it, don't like it, whatever. I think other people will be interested in knowing that. And also down below, we have a link to our e-commerce security best practices, I think is what we called it. It's an ebook that we made just to help you guys keep your stuff nice, safe, and secure. So if you're interested, please check that out. I think that's it for today. If you like this video, please like, comment, and share. If you haven't already, please subscribe, and I'll catch you later.